What if the key to unlocking your potential wasn't some new age fad or a tech billionaire's morning routine, but a 2,000-year-old blueprint for success? The Roman general Julius Caesar built one of the greatest empires in history with relentless drive and strategic genius. He didn't just conquer lands, he conquered doubt, chaos, and his own complacency. In doing so, he left behind a set of unwritten rules for overcoming any obstacle life throws your way. Most people write off history as a boring collection of dates and names, but they're missing the point. The greatest figures of the past left a playbook that almost no one uses. Today, we're going to steal 4 of Caesar's most powerful strategies to guide your own growth. Julius Caesar. The name itself feels legendary. He was a military genius, a masterful politician, and a leader whose charisma could sway entire nations. But his success wasn't magic. It came from a specific mindset, a series of principles he applied with ruthless consistency. And these aren't just lessons in warfare. They're universal laws of progress. They apply to your career, your personal projects, and your ambition to build a life that matters. Let's be honest, many of us feel stuck. We face uncertainty, we're terrified of making the wrong choice, and we get overwhelmed by our own goals. Caesar faced all of this, but on a global scale, with the fate of civilization resting on his shoulders. By understanding how he thought and acted, we can borrow his clarity for our own modern battles. So, let's get into the first lesson. In 49 BC, Julius Caesar stood at the edge of a small river called the Rubicon. On one side was his province. On the other was Italy, the heartland of Rome. The law in Rome was crystal clear. No general could cross the Rubicon with a standing army. To do so was treason, a declaration of civil war. His enemies in the Senate had backed him into a corner, giving him a choice. Give up his army and face political ruin, or cross the river and plunge the Republic into chaos. He hesitated, knowing the world was holding its breath. Then, he made his choice. According to the historian Suetonius, Caesar uttered the famous words, "Alea iacta histi." The die is cast. He marched his army across the water, committing himself to a path with no return. This wasn't just a military move. It was the ultimate act of commitment. The lesson here is that real growth is impossible without making bold, often irreversible, decisions. We live in an age of analysis, paralysis. We have so much information that we research endlessly, weigh every pro and con, and wait for a perfect moment that never comes. Caesar teaches us that at a certain point, you have to stop thinking and act. Inaction is its own kind of decision, and it's usually the one that guarantees you stay exactly where you are. So, how do you apply this? Start by thinking of your decisions as either two-way doors or one-way doors. A two-way door is reversible. If you don't like the outcome, you can walk right back through. Make these decisions quickly. Don't waste energy on them. A one-way door, like crossing the Rubicon, has lasting consequences. These are the choices that define your life. Changing careers, starting a business, moving to a new city. For these one-way doors, do your homework, but give yourself a deadline. Caesar didn't act blindly. He took a calculated risk based on his intel. Once you have enough information, you have to commit. The moment you cross your own Rubicon, pour all your energy into moving forward, not looking back. The mental freedom that comes from full commitment is immense. It silences. What ifs, and focuses your mind on one thing. Execution. What is the Rubicon you've been afraid to cross? One of Caesar's greatest military moments was the Battle of Alesia. He wasn't just facing one army, he was facing two. He had the Gallic leader, Vercingetorix, and 80,000 soldiers trapped inside the fortress of Alesia. But Then, a massive Gallic relief army. Ancient writers claimed it was a staggering 250,000 strong was marching to attack Caesar from the outside. The Romans were now the ones who had trapped, sandwiched between two enemy forces. A normal general would have run, but Caesar was anything but normal. Instead, he ordered his men to do something completely insane. Build two massive lines of walls. The first, an inner wall, faced the town to keep Vercingetorix's army pinned in. The second, an outer wall, faced the countryside to defend against the relief army. Caesar turned his own siege into a fortress, preparing to fight a war on two fronts at once. When the battle finally came, he expertly moved his troops between the two walls, crushing both armies. The principle is profound. A rigid plan breaks under pressure. True strength is adaptability. We all create 5-year plans or detailed project outlines, only to get completely derailed by the first unexpected problem. We treat the plan as sacred, but Caesar shows us that the goal is sacred, not the plan. His goal was to conquer Gaul, and he was willing to get creative and radically adapt his strategy to make it happen. To apply the Alesia strategy, you need to build your own fortifications. These aren't walls of dirt. They're buffers and backup plans. In your career, don't be a one-trick pony. Develop a few complementary skills. If your main role is threatened by market changes, you can pivot. In your finances, have an emergency fund. That fund is your outer wall, protecting you from life's chaos so you can keep your inner wall, your long-term goals secure. When you're managing a project, don't just plan for everything to go right. Actively ask, what's the worst that could happen here? What if a key person quits? What if a supplier is late? Develop backup plans. This is your second wall. You don't build it because you expect to fail. You build it so that when a crisis hits, you aren't forced to retreat. You've given yourself the space to adapt and turn a disaster into a victory. Caesar was legendary for the speed of his campaigns. He moved his legions so fast that he constantly surprised and overwhelmed his enemies. He operated on a simple principle. The most potent weapon in war is the unexpected. But this speed wasn't recklessness. It was the direct result of obsessive, relentless preparation. His victories were often won long before the first battle. He was a master of logistics, ensuring his armies were supplied even deep in enemy territory. He personally invested in his soldiers, learning their names and eating with them, which earned him a fierce loyalty that made his army unbreakable. Before building his famous bridge across the Rhine, an engineering marvel he built in just 10 days. We can imagine his engineers had already perfected the designs and scouted the materials. His speed wasn't about moving fast. It was about being ready to move fast the second an opportunity appeared. The lesson is that confidence and quick execution aren't things you just manifest. They're the byproduct of knowing you've done the work. When you're truly prepared, you can walk into any situation on negotiation, a public speech, a product launch with a quiet mind, free to focus on what's in front of you. To apply this, front-load the effort. Look at a big goal you have. What's the prep work that will allow you to be fast and agile later? If you have a major exam, don't just cram. Practice 4 weeks beforehand. The exam itself will feel like a victory lap. If you're preparing for a crucial meeting, don't just review the agenda. Game it out. Anticipate every question you could be asked and prepare the answers. Research the people in the room. Understand what they want. When you walk in, you won't be reacting. You'll be leading the conversation. This level of preparation is the ultimate advantage. While everyone else is scrambling, you're already executing. You can act with the speed of Caesar because you've already won the battle in your mind. After winning the Civil War, Caesar could have relaxed. He was named dictator for life of Rome. But he didn't stop. He immediately launched a series of sweeping reforms, overhauling the tax system, reorganizing city governments, and even creating the Julian calendar that, with a few small tweaks, we still use today. He understood a fundamental truth. To improve is to change, and to stay on top is to change often. Success is a terrible teacher. It can breed arrogance and complacency. Caesar saw this in his rivals and refused to fall into the same trap. He knew that yesterday's wins don't guarantee tomorrow's victories. His power came not from what he had already done, but from his relentless drive to keep building and keep improving. This final principle is about developing a mindset of perpetual growth. The goal isn't to reach some static point called success, but to stay in a continuous process of improvement. In your own life, this means you can never get too comfortable. When you achieve a goal, a promotion, a fitness milestone, launching a project, celebrate it. Then, ask what's next. Not because you're dissatisfied, but because you're hungry to keep growing. Create a personal feedback loop. After every big project, do a quick review. What went well? What went wrong? What will you do differently next time? This is how you turn experience into wisdom. Embrace new challenges that force you to learn something new. Pick up a skill that has nothing to do with your job. Read books way outside your comfort zone. Constant learning keeps your mind sharp and flexible, preventing the mental stiffness that is always the first step toward decline. Caesar's story is a powerful reminder that the moment you stop changing is the moment you start losing. The blueprint Caesar left behind isn't about wearing a toga or conquering your neighbors. It's a timeless guide to building the internal strength that leads to external success. First, master decisive action. Have the courage to cross your Rubicon. Second, win through strategic flexibility. Build your own Alesia walls so you can adapt and thrive when things go wrong. Third, conquer through preparation. Remember that speed and confidence come from doing the work up front. And finally, evolve to stay on top. Never let success make you complacent. Embrace change. These aren't just stories from a history book. They're a call to action. Caesar's life shows that with the right mindset, one person can reshape their world. By adopting his principles, you can start to reshape your own. Which of Caesar's rules hits home for you right now? Are you facing a Rubicon? Or do you need to build your own walls of Alesia? Let us know in the comments below. And for more lessons from history to guide your growth, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell.